Hello. I want to congratulate you on reaching the top of the rock as life planners and life consultants and distribution partners. And today I want to speak with you about one thing that will enable you to continue to grow your business, continue to compete at the highest level, but will also allow you to improve your relationships, improve your quality of life with your families, with your clients, with everybody. And that one thing is to bring the greatest amount of joy to your work and to your life, the greatest amount of joy. So right now in the United States, the most successful professional sports team is actually right here in San Francisco. They're called the Golden State Warriors. They've won 3 of the last 4 professional basketball championships. I'm a Lakers fan, so. But the Warriors, their coach, Steve Kerr, has a great philosophy. His philosophy is practice with joy, play with joy. Because when you play with joy, you're going to play with freedom. When you play with freedom, you're going to maximize your talent. When you maximize your talent, you're going to compete at the highest level. So that's what I want to speak with you today about. How do you bring more joy, the ultimate, greatest amount of joy to your life? But first, I want to tell you a little story. Even if you don't like sports, I think you'll appreciate this story. So I grew up in Los Angeles. I'm a big fan of the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's the baseball team in Los Angeles. And when I was a kid, I was 15 years old, the Dodgers made the World Series. So that's the championship round in baseball. And so I was 15 years old. The year was 1988. My dad took me to Game 1 of the World Series at the big baseball stadium in Los Angeles called Dodger Stadium. We were sitting in the upper deck on the left field line. I was so excited. The Dodgers were losing. They were down to their last out, their last gasp of hope. And their best player was a guy named Kirk Gibson. And Kirk Gibson was so badly injured that he wasn't even playing in the game. But because they were down to their last gasp of hope, they called Kirk Gibson to bat. So mind you, he was so badly injured he could barely walk. He hobbles to home plate. He digs into the batter's box. First pitch, barely gets his bat on the ball, strike 1. Second pitch, barely gets his bat on the ball, strike 2. As a fan, you were just waiting for him to strike out, and the Dodgers were going to lose, and you were going to go home sad. And then something amazing happened. Kirk Gibson got a hold of a pitch, hit a towering fly ball, back, over the right field fence. The Dodgers dramatically won the game. They went on to win the World Championship. As you can see, I'm still excited 30 years later, and I would love to relive that moment with you right now.
Who's coming up? All year long, they look to him to light the fire, and all year long, he answered the demand. If he hits the ball on the ground, I would imagine he would be running 50% to first base. So the Dodgers trying to catch lightning right now. Little number. Foul. And it had to be an effort to run that far. With the left knee bothering him, he can't push off. Well, now he can't push off and he can't land.
He's going to use all arms. Look at his crowd on its feet. What a tribute.
4-3 A's. 2 out, 9th inning. Not a bad opening act. High fly ball into right field. She is gone. In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
So I'll tell you where my father and I were sitting when he hit that home run. In the backseat of his car driving down the freeway, because my father wanted to leave the game early so we could beat the traffic in the parking lot. So we missed one of the greatest moments in American sports history so we could beat 20 minutes of traffic in the parking lot. And to this day, we still take separate cars to games 30 years later. And I tell you this story because we are missing the important moments in our lives. We're missing the important moments with our children, with our clients, with our families. And we're missing these moments not because we're leaving early, but because we're so busy. There's so much information. The technology has such an overwhelming impact on our lives these days. There's just constantly disruptions and stimulation, and it's a lot. It's a lot. And the technology is only getting more efficient. The devices are only getting more integrated into our personal lives, so it's becoming more difficult. And all this technology and all this stimulation and all this disruption, it's having an impact on our ability to be present when we want to be present, when we need to be present. And all this information and all this technology is starting to affect our safety. So I want to tell you a very personal story. About 2 months ago, I was with my daughter, who was 16 months old at the time, and I was running with her in the baby stroller. So I was on a run, and I was pushing her, and we were crossing the street, and this car started coming toward us. And I said, "Hey, we're right here, we're right here." And I could see the guy wasn't looking. He was looking down at his phone. He was a distracted driver, and I started screaming at the top of my lungs, and he didn't hear me. He slammed into the baby stroller with my baby daughter inside. The stroller went flying 15 feet in the air, collapsed on its back. You can imagine my horror. All a father wants to do is protect his baby daughter. You can imagine my horror as I ran to the stroller not knowing if she was okay. My hands were shaking. She was crying hysterically. I picked her out of the stroller and held her in my arms, and thank God she was okay. And the driver took off. It was a hit and run. He didn't stop to see if she was okay. And I thought to myself, that could have been me driving that car, because how many of us in this room use our car as an office, and when we're driving, we're looking at our phone, and we think we can get away with it. You think you can get away with it. I think I can get away with it, until you hit somebody's baby daughter while you're driving, and then you realize how dangerous it is to be looking at our phone while we're driving a car. So all this technology is having an impact on our ability to be present. It's having an impact on our safety, and it's having an impact on our happiness. And when I was researching my book, Happy is the New Healthy, I asked hundreds of people the very simple question, are you happy? Be honest. 2 out of every 10 people said, my life is miserable, please help. Another 2 out of 10 said, life is amazing. Most people, 6 out of every 10 people said, I'm happy, but I feel like I could be happier. And I'm guessing that speaks to how a lot of us in this room feel, that you're happy, but maybe you could be even happier. So I want to share with you today some very simple tips on what you can do right this moment to turn up the volume on your level of happiness, so that when you're enjoying San Francisco this weekend with your family, you'll enjoy it even more deeply. When you get back to work next week, you'll feel a legitimate uptick on your happiness and your quality of life.